Hey everyone, I wanted to do a really quick review of the three types of irony. A lot of the stories that we are going to be reading um, have ironic components, and I did just want to review the three types of irony. It's been a while since we've talked about those, and so here we go. So first of all, irony is all about expectations. So when we're talking generally about irony, it's really when the opposite of what you would expect is what happens. Um, Oddly enough, irony is one of those uh, elements that tends irony and metaphors. People, when they get out of school, tend to use that word, um, tend to call things ironic or call things metaphors when they're not ironic and it's not a metaphor. People will say, well, I was talking metaphorically, and that's not really what they were doing. Or people will say, oh my gosh, it was so ironic. Um, you know, this just happened and it wasn't really ironic. Sometimes people think things are ironic because they're funny. And just because something's funny doesn't mean it's ironic. So when we're talking about irony, we're really talking about a contrast between what you would reasonably expect to have happen based off the information that you have and then what actually occurs. When those two things don't match up, that's when we have irony. So we have three types of irony. We have verbal, dramatic, and situational. So with verbal irony, that is when the character says one thing but means something else. And we tend to be able to hear this a lot in tone of voice. So for example, someone could say, gosh, we're having really nice weather and it's sunny and it's 80 degrees out and we actually are having really nice weather. And so they mean it, they actually mean that it's really nice weather. Um, so it's not verbal irony. That same statement could become verbal irony if you say, gosh, we're having some nice weather, aren't we? And you look outside and it's raining and it's cloudy and it's freezing cold and the weather's not actually super nice unless you really like rainy, cold weather, in which case maybe you're not being verbally ironic. But so oftentimes we call it sarcasm. And verbal irony and sarcasm are pretty much linked. So either of these two example statements here, depending on how you say it, I guess, if you said the locker room smells really good, maybe it has just been cleaned, but generally your locker rooms aren't going to smell very good. So that's going to be verbal irony. People tend to not be super excited when they get a lot of homework. So awesome, another homework packet generally is going to be sarcasm or verbal irony. So just remember with verbal irony, we are talking about sarcasm, and sometimes things are verbal irony because of the way that they're said, the tone in which they're said. The next type of irony we're going to talk about is dramatic irony. So that's when the reader or the audience understands something or has more knowledge about something than the character does or the characters do. So, for example, Alex writes a love poem to Judy, but we know that Judy loves Devin. That could be dramatic irony because we know something that the characters don't know, and so we have more information than the characters do. We always see on television the classic setup where it's one character's birthday, and he or she thinks that everyone has forgotten their birthday and all the other characters on the show are acting like they've forgotten that character's birthday, but we, the audience, know that all of the characters' friends are actually planning a birthday party for that person. That is another example of dramatic irony that we often see, particularly I think sitcoms will use that a lot. The third type of irony that we have is situational irony, and this is the type of irony that gets people misunderstand it the most. So situational irony is when there is a contrast between what actually happens and what you would expect to have happen. So something about the situation is completely unexpected. So for example, if Bill Gates, who is the creator of Microsoft, was using an Apple computer, that would be situational irony. Apple and Microsoft are big competitors, so we wouldn't expect for Bill Gates, the creator of Microsoft, to be using an Apple computer. That's situational irony. So like I said, situational irony is the one that people tend to confuse the most when things are funny or, like they make you laugh. Situational irony can be funny, but just because something is funny does not make it ironic. And so just make sure that you're looking at what you would expect versus what actually happens, and that's situational irony. So just to quickly review, something that is ironic is unexpected. If it is unexpected by a character, then it's dramatic irony. If it's unexpected by everyone, then it's situational irony. And if it's sarcasm, then it's verbal irony. So be on the lookout for irony as you read through your short stories, not only the short story for this week, but in following weeks, you should see this a lot. This has been your quick 5-minute, almost 6-minute review on irony. And please reach out if you have any questions.